Welcome to Dead Souls Social Club.
Good evening, everyone. If you enjoy our show and find our research both interesting and informative, please can I ask that you consider leaving us a 5-star review on your chosen podcast platform. Something that small really does help us out a huge amount. You can also find out more about us and our work by heading over to deadsouls.co.uk and checking us out. We are a small team of 3 researchers with more than 70 years of experience between us. You can also find us and speak to us over on Instagram. Just search Dead Souls Social Club and we'll come up. So, as always, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This audio presentation, as always, contains graphic details of death, violence, and controversial subject matter. Listener discretion is strongly advised. From Dead Souls Media, this is Assassination. I'm Jamie Black, a researcher and psychologist, and I'll be your host for tonight.
3 men have been charged in New York tonight in connection with alleged Iranian plans to murder Donald Trump and other American citizens. One of the men hasn't been arrested and is believed to be in Iran. Prosecutors say the plan dates back to September before the presidential election. Our North America editor, Sarah Smith, is in Florida tonight. Sarah.
Yeah, the 3 men have been charged with trying to assassinate Donald Trump during the presidential campaign and doing so under the instruction of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. The criminal complaint alleges that an Iranian asset was told to hire people in the United States to conduct surveillance on Donald Trump and ultimately to try to assassinate him. They were told that money was no object whatsoever. But if they couldn't get the plan together within 7 days, then they were to wait until Donald Trump loses the election, they were told, when the Iranians believed it would be easier to kill him.
So, after enjoying his election victory just 2 days ago on Wednesday morning, Donald Trump has now allegedly hid that he was lucky to even have survived his campaign at all. We know of 2 previous serious attempts to assassinate Trump. The first we reported on back in July. But it has now emerged that a third and separate Iranian assassination plot has been uncovered and thwarted by the FBI.
As you know, there have been 2 assassination attempts on my life that we know of, and they may or may not involve, but possibly do, Iran.
President Joe Biden has stated that if Iran or any other country tried to kill Donald Trump, then it would constitute an act of war. This was after US intelligence services informed him of a real and specific Iranian death plot.
We've been threatened very directly by Iran, and I think you have to let them know, because the best way to do it is through the office of the president, that you do any attacks on former presidents or candidates for president, your country gets blown to smithereens.
You'll recall how we reported that Donald Trump had only narrowly survived being killed at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, when gunman Thomas Crooks fired several rounds at Trump, with one of those bullets grazing his ear. Crooks was killed at the scene, and his motives remain largely unknown. Another attempted assassin was arrested in September when he was discovered with a semi-automatic rifle hiding in the bushes when Donald Trump was playing golf. Ryan Wesley Ruth, 58, of Greensboro, North Carolina, was said to be angry about the war in Ukraine. So, let's play devil's advocate here a little. A senior Iranian general named Qasem Soleimani was killed in September 2020 by a United States drone strike near Baghdad airport in Iraq. This was at the very end of Donald Trump's first term as president. Trump has stated that he considers the strike a very proud achievement of his. The governing regime in Iran has stated, however, that Donald Trump should face trial for what the United Nations has since declared to have been an unlawful killing of Soleimani by the United States. Iran has also stated that if Trump is not tried in international court, then they would take its revenge upon him. President-elect Trump will very likely be considering his response to Iran right about now.
Soleimani has been perpetrating acts of terror to destabilize the Middle East for the last 20 years. What the United States did yesterday should have been done long ago.
But let's not forget that as well as the killing of Soleimani, the Trump administration also placed what he called maximum pressure on Iran during his first presidential term, and he applied stiff economic sanctions on the country. Trump also notoriously pulled out of an international deal that was designed to break up Iran's nuclear ambitions. That deal would have eventually seen international sanctions on Iran lifted, but that didn't happen after the United States withdrawal. This angered Iran. Now, the world is in a very different place only 4 years after Donald Trump first left office. A much more volatile place. Iran is embroiled in a bitter war with Israel, which continues to escalate in tit-for-tat exchanges between the two countries. Israel is already engaged in 2 wars with both Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah are financed and influenced by Iran, which is what has drawn them into the Israeli conflict. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, knows that he can't fight a third war alone, especially against a much bigger enemy as Iran. So he needs Israel's closest ally to enter the war ideally. Yes, he'd love the United States to face off against Iran for him. But President Biden has resisted this and called for de-escalation from Israel in their conflicts. The question now is, will Israel get what they want? And will the Trump administration strike back against Iran, giving Israel the support that they want? With the Ukrainian conflict raging on and now involving North Korea, the world is very much staring over the precipice of a third world war. Donald Trump, during his victory speech on Wednesday, stated, quote, "I am not going to start any wars. I am going to stop wars," unquote. Iran really could be the first big test of the Trump presidency, some 2 months even before his inauguration. I think what's more certain than revenge, however, is that the Trump administration will very quickly, once in office, apply even harsher sanctions to Iran to prevent it from exporting oil to China. But China, being strong allies with both Russia and North Korea, aren't likely to take that sitting down. But what is this alleged suspected Iranian assassination plot exactly? Well, the United States Justice Department is said to be bringing criminal charges over a plot to kill the president-elect Donald Trump that has its origin in Iran. That plot was ultimately thwarted by the FBI, the government has said. The plot took place last September, while Donald Trump was active on the campaign trail. The US federal government has now unsealed criminal charges and revealed that the plan was to take out Trump before this week's presidential election. Well, a criminal complaint filed in federal court in New York City alleges that an official in Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guards instructed a contact of theirs named Farhad Shakiri, age 51, an Afghan national, last September to put together a plan to surveil and ultimately kill Trump. Shakiri has been identified by officials as an Iranian government asset who was deported from the United States after being imprisoned on robbery charges. An additional 2 men, who US authorities say were recruited to participate in other assassinations, said to include a prominent Iranian-American journalist, were also arrested on Friday. The 2 other individuals were identified by the US Justice Department as Carlisle Rivera, 49 from Brooklyn, and Jonathan Lordholt, 36 from Staten Island. Rivera and Lordholt appeared in court in the New York Southern District and are being detained pending trial. Shakiri, however, remains at large in Iran. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghai has been quoted as saying, quote, "Similar accusations of attempts to assassinate US presidents have been made in the past, and Iran has denied these, which went on to be false," unquote. In a further statement, Mr. Baghai also added that repeating such claims risked, quote, "further complicating the issues between the United States and Iran," unquote. Merrick Garland, the United States Attorney General, however, stated on Friday, quote, "There are few actors in the world that pose as grave a threat to the national security of the United States than that of Iran," unquote. It's been confirmed by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence that Donald Trump and his campaign were informed of the assassination plot back in September. So this isn't new news to them, which bodes well for Trump not making a knee-jerk reaction now that the plot is public knowledge. Federal officials have described ongoing efforts by Iran to target US government officials, including Trump, on United States soil. As an additional example of this, just last summer the Justice Department charged a Pakistani man with ties to Iran in a murder-for-hire plot too. Or at least that's what The Guardian and the BBC are reporting. But I think there is a small inaccuracy here, and more to dig into. Now, what would Dead Souls Social Club be if it didn't put forward alternative information relating to this news story and allege a potential conspiracy? Well, this plot has emerged today as brand new news, and the news cycle media are up in arms and furiously debating what this could mean. How will Trump respond? What does this mean for Iran? Will Joe Biden take action as he said he would against a regime that has made what he sees as an act of war against the United States? Well, in September 2023, this exact assassination story was quietly reported by Time magazine. I'll post the link to this article in the description of this episode. The article describes this plot and how it came about in great detail, calling it the third assassination plot. Now, we know that the Trump campaign were notified of this plot in September, and Time reported the plot in September too, September 23rd to be exact. There is one glaring difference, however. The man that the press are reporting today as the asset of Iran who was advised to surveil Trump and instigate the plot, Farhad Shakiri, well, he is named as someone completely different in the Time article. He is named as one Asif Merchant. The other details all match up exactly. In fact, going back even further, the US Department of Justice added the information of the plot to their website on September the 11th. Again, a link to that update is in the episode description. In that update, it seems that they were unaware that Donald Trump was the alleged target. The plotter is also seemingly Pakistani in the Time article and the Department of Justice website update, and not Afghan, which is being widely reported now. So what gives with the differing identities of the alleged plotter and his differing origin? Given that the DOJ had already arrested and spoken to the plotter prior to issuing their update on September the 11th, I think it's fair to say that they knew his identity and country of origin, which insinuates that there is another reason to present a story to the press now with different information 2 months later. If I was a cynical man, I may gently suggest that this story has emerged at an awfully convenient time for Israel, a country who were very eager for the United States to enter their war, a war which is against the very country who are allegedly behind this assassination plot. Also, if this was known about and little was done with the information more than 2 months ago, then why are those in power all of a sudden outraged by it now? They have known about this, in fact, since July, the DOJ update alleges. Now, to be clear, I have no need or intention to throw around unsupported accusations, but I know what this feels like to me. This dog ain't hunting, and I urge you all to watch this story develop very closely. I suspect that there is a vast ice mass beneath the surface of this berg, and this is just the start of things to come. For those of you who wish to discuss this further, as always, reach out, be it via email or Instagram DM. I am always keen to engage with you guys. Speak soon. Good night.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our show tonight. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review on your chosen podcast platform and subscribe to our show so that you never miss an episode. Our shows aren't sponsored by any company or corporation, so any support you can give us goes a long way in supporting the work that we do. From all of us here at Dead Souls, sleep tight.